When we think of trauma, we often picture emotional scars. But PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, goes deeper than emotions. It actually changes how the brain works. Let's break it down. PTSD can develop after someone experiences or witnesses a terrifying event, like war, assault, accidents, or natural disasters. But not everyone who goes through trauma develops PTSD. So what's happening in the brain when it does? 3 key brain regions are involved. 1. The amygdala. 2. The hippocampus. 3. And the prefrontal cortex. Let's start with the amygdala, your brain's fear center. Its job is to detect threats and trigger the fight or flight response. In PTSD, the amygdala becomes overactive. That means it reacts intensely to reminders of trauma, even when there's no real danger. Imagine walking past a certain smell or sound that's linked to a traumatic memory. For someone with PTSD, the amygdala might sound the alarm anyway, flooding the body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Now let's talk about the hippocampus. This part of the brain helps form and organize memories, especially context, when and where things happened. But in PTSD, the hippocampus tends to shrink and function abnormally. That's been shown in brain scans like MRI studies, including a well-known one from 1995 by Bremner and colleagues. When the hippocampus is impaired, traumatic memories can feel disorganized, like they're stuck on repeat or happening in the present. That's why people with PTSD often experience flashbacks or intrusive memories that feel vivid and real, even years after the trauma. Then there's the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking, decision-making, and calming the amygdala. In PTSD, this part of the brain tends to be underactive. It struggles to regulate fear and separate what's safe from what's dangerous. That's why someone with PTSD might react to a car backfiring as if it were gunfire. So to recap, amygdala equals too active right-pointing arrow exaggerated fear. Hippocampus equals impaired right-pointing arrow jumbled, intrusive memories. Prefrontal cortex equals weakened right-pointing arrow poor fear regulation. This imbalance creates a brain stuck in survival mode. But here's the important part, PTSD isn't permanent. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and exposure therapy have been shown to help rewire these brain circuits. A 2012 study by Felmingham et al. Found that successful treatment for PTSD can actually increase activity in the prefrontal cortex and decrease amygdala overreaction. EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, is another evidence-based approach that helps process trauma in a way the brain can manage. It doesn't erase the memory, but helps reduce its emotional intensity. There's even emerging evidence that mindfulness and meditation can help normalize brain activity in people with PTSD, possibly by strengthening the prefrontal cortex and calming the amygdala. And in recent years, researchers have been exploring psychedelic-assisted therapy, using substances like MDMA in controlled, clinical settings. Early studies, like those from MAPS, suggest it may help loosen the grip of traumatic memories and promote emotional healing when combined with therapy. But this field is still under study and heavily regulated. Here's the takeaway: PTSD is not a weakness or failure to cope. It's a real, biological condition that physically alters brain function. But the brain is also plastic, it can change. With the right support and treatment, the brain can heal, and people can take back control from trauma. If you or someone you know is struggling with symptoms of PTSD, like flashbacks, hypervigilance, nightmares, or emotional numbness, help is out there. Therapy, support groups, and professional care can truly make a difference. You're not alone. And you're not broken. The science shows healing is possible.